In this episode of Social Bite, we sit with Brian Solis, co-author of Putting the Public Back in Public Relations.
My name is Brian Solis, and I blog at briansolis.com, and I'm also at Brian Solis on Twitter. I've been involved in sort of cultivating the social web over the years and sort of understanding its impacts on society, and also how it changes the landscape for media, not just marketing, but media in general, and also how it changes how people communicate with each other, how they share and discover information. So I've become sort of this digital anthropologist where I'm documenting a lot of this stuff and sharing what I know with everyone, and also as it relates to how it can improve the conversations between brands and media outlets and people who need to know the information they have to share.
Fantastic. Well, you've written several pieces, both ebooks and books. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write this particular book.
You know, one of the things that really is fascinating, aside from the social web's impact in every industry, is that of public relations. And that is because it is an industry unto itself where brands, businesses, media outlets, publishers, where they try to convey stories to people for whatever the intent. And public relations was a bridge between people and, say, sort of X, right? And so the social architecture that's transpiring right now, or that at least is unfolding, is powerful, and it absolutely impacts and improves the opportunity for companies to better coordinate and communicate with people in their communities. And so what the problem was with PR before the social web was that it wasn't necessarily a two-way mechanism. It was a one-way broadcast machine, one to many, never necessarily one-to-one or many-to-many. It was really just this idea of controlling and pushing content out under the assumption that it was that people were following suit and sharing the message exactly and verbatim, that everything was being shared according to plan. And the inspiration behind the book was to show that we never really had control, but now we actually have an opportunity to engage and steer in perception. And so it wasn't necessarily about PR or publicity, it was now about public relations and ultimately engagement and participation. And so through that, public relations professionals had the opportunity, since they were right there on the front lines, to sort of help create change from within.
That's fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about how the social web relates to businesses, large and small?
It gives businesses a voice, and it gives them a persona and a personality of which people can sort of align. It's not unlike the concepts behind affinity or experiential marketing, but what it does is it gives these businesses and the people behind the businesses an opportunity to connect with their communities, or even find their communities and find what makes them tick, and help find, you know, what they're looking for, what kind of answers they need, what kind of direction they need, and with that, hopefully build a community that improves the business landscape overall.
You recently wrote a piece which included the idea of socialization of your corporate brand. Can you give us some tips on how companies can get started? We often hear companies saying, you know, I've created a Twitter account, I've created a Facebook account. But is that really all that they need to consider when approaching the social web?
Well, the socialization of your brand happens with or without you. And the idea behind that post, and it goes not just for company brands, it goes for your personal brand, my personal brand. I mean, people will take with it and do with it as they see fit. They'll reconstruct who you are, what you represent, based on what they find in Google, based on what they find in Twitter search or Facebook search. And so just having a Facebook profile or a Twitter account as sort of your brand strategy isn't enough, right? I mean, it's the content that goes in there, it's how you interact, it's how you engage. It also, whether or not that's where you need to be, is all sort of defined by the socialization of your brand. And it all starts, I'm sure you'd agree, everything starts with listening and understanding where those conversations are transpiring, how they're transpiring, who's behind them, and then aligning with that, you know, paying attention so that you understand where you need to be and why. And maybe Twitter and Facebook isn't in your cards, maybe it is, but you'll know exactly why you're there and how to engage and how to participate. So that way you're then participating in the socialization of your brand as well.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, and for visiting us in Denver. We're very excited about your book and meeting you in person.
Thank you, and for those who are looking for the book, they could just go to briansolis.com/books or bit.ly/prbook.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.